Hello and welcome to our group's presentation on suicide, its prevention and causes. It's kind of related to the wider scope of mental health in teens in general. And the group members here are, of course, Lisa Bush, Anamika Duggar, and myself, Alex Falciani. Basically, I'm going to walk you through what we've been doing, but first I'm going to give a bio section, kind of background on all of us. The purpose, what we wanted to do here with this project, what we wanted to get out of it, and the future of it. And then also I'm going to explain, show the website a little bit, show how we did it, talk about what we did together, our group roles, and then I'll share with you a personal account of myself in all this because it's very relevant and goes along with the topic. So anyway, without further ado, let's go right into it. Just a background on all of us. Lisa Bush is looking for licensure in secondary math. She's in a high-achieving district that's composed of 4 schools. One is elementary, one is middle, one is high, and one is a K-8 charter school. 3 main schools are located on one campus on the outskirts of a mountain ski town with a population of about 6,600. She's taught preschool through community college and then ran a small business. Becoming a secondary math teacher for her is a new career that is called to her. Math is more because of the need, but teaching also because helping students see the light is so rewarding. I think we can all relate to that. Namika Duggar first taught at a low-income charter school in Washington, D.C. She then took a break for some office jobs, followed by an MFA in creative writing. She is now pursuing licensure in secondary ELA at an alternative public school option outside of Denver, whose students have struggled socially, emotionally, and academically at traditional schools. Her favorite parts of teaching are interacting with the students as human beings, hearing their stories and being there for those moments when they're truly passionate about their learning and see a glimpse of the bright possibilities that lie ahead. Now myself, I moved here in August doing this program, and I'm at a pretty small town, a pretty small school too. It's about 380, 400 kids now, and the town itself is right around 3,000. Maybe it spikes to like 5,000 in the summer when all the people from Texas come up. But it's fun. It's great. I know I've known the principal for like 4 years, and so it's been an easy adjustment for me. I moved here mostly to be with my grandparents and do the program at the same time. They've had their house for about 15 years, and it's out in the country, and they need some help. And it's just been great. I love the student body here. It's a very friendly and familiar atmosphere to me. And so it's just been a great time. So that's kind of our backgrounds. The purposes of what we did here was we wanted to reach this topic in any way, in the best way possible, really. And what we concluded is that the best way to approach suicide in schools and depression in general is not even to bring up those terms. That's actually kind of a negative thing. The best thing that you can do is work to build positive culture. So I'm going to bring up our website here so you can check it out. We decided on the name Educate Positive because of that. And so you can see right over here is the About section and the homepage for the website. It's educatepositive.wordpress.com. It's not a full, legitimate site yet. We're not paying for it, but the free version does fantastic for us and what we're trying to do. And so that's important to note here, is that we really are trying to educate in a positive way, build a positive school culture. That's probably the best thing that you can do in all of this in trying to help it. So let's go through the different sections here. You'll see we've got a number of different tabs you can pull down: activities and strategies, interviews, research and data, and resources for educators. Briefly, the activities and strategies are basically the things that we think will work or that are working currently. There are 2 different sections. One is a more school-wide approach, larger group strategy, and the other one is what you do when you're interacting sort of one-on-one, kind of like a counseling scenario. The other is interviews, which we conducted at each of our different placements. So we have 3 different tabs. One is alternative public school, high performing, and rural. If you click the home banner. It gives you some kind of background on this, and then you can go directly to the links if you want, or you can go to the full page display if you click just any one of them. You'll go down and see, that we picked basically 12 questions. We each graded 4, and these are the answers that we received across the board. And so this was helpful basically in general. It helped add to almost all of the other categories in some way. So that was very important. We also have a research and data section here. And this is going to be just the kind of statistics behind this, and really the thing that you get out of reading this page, I think, is how important it is. It's actually pretty crazy to look at Colorado as it's consistently top 10 in states across the country that deal with issues related to suicide. It's one of the highest suicide rate states that exists. And so, this is an extraordinarily relevant topic, and this is kind of the proof behind that. We also have here resources for educators, and this is going to be a compilation of the places that we went to. All of the research involved is really compiled here. You'll see this one, for example. Safe to tell, I talked with a person that was on the safety committee before and after the Bailey shootings, actually recently, and fairly recently, and he recommended that was the #1 preventative measure that they had taken. And so a lot of this comes from the communication with professionals that we had throughout this project, and this is just kind of a good place to go when you're looking for ideas or information. Now, specifically all of these, I won't get too detailed with all of this just for the sake of time, and I encourage all of you to check out this website and go and see what the different things are, and if you could pick up on anything. I will say that this activities and strategies section is pretty fun. For example, you've got one that's been working in our school right now called Big Brother, Big Sister. And basically the idea here behind this one is you pair up a senior with a freshman or two, and every day that senior puts a note in their locker, or gives them a pat on the back and asks how they're doing, and says hello, and just lets them know that they're there for them, gives them a little support. Because one, freshmen look at the seniors as these, who are these people? They're so far beyond us. We can't communicate with them unless they have a personal connection, like their brother or sister or whatever, or within that friend circle. But largely, I noticed a disconnect between that, and my mentor actually addressed it after an event recently in our school, and it really has built positive school culture as a result. The seniors are loving it, and the freshmen love it even more. I mean, it's incredible to see their faces light up when they go to their locker and they see some little note. I mean, it's small, but it means so much, and so it's a really cool thing. So you could definitely check out more about all this. The interviews are really interesting, I will say. The interviews that we conducted were with multiple people from the schools. I conducted mine with a psychologist and a high school counselor, and they just have really good responses to all of this. My counselor said that the most effective thing he ever saw was a student-to-student project where it was regarding racism, and they put on a 11-act play, and it was the kids that were feeling the most discriminated. And he just said it was really powerful. And so one thing to take away is definitely that we found student-to-student interaction, student-to-student support is the best thing for this. And again, positive school culture is what you're looking to build. Our different roles, we all kind of did this together, not much specifics. What I will say is that Anamika was real instrumental in editing and formatting our writing and compiling the research. She did a lot of the resources and finding those. A large part of the interacting with individual students section. Obviously, we all were a part of the interviews, and we all conducted interviews in our different placements. And Lisa was a large part of our research. She created all of the graphs for us and compiled the data. and the statistics that you can find on the website. Also part of the resources, also part of the activities and strategies, and also part of the interviews. One thing that I did a lot of and was a big part of was the web development. Obviously what I'm doing is not crazy, it's not coding, but it was something that maybe was a little bit more unfamiliar with the other two, Lisa and Anamika, and they've learned a lot from it, which is great. So we've all kind of learned and have experienced growth together throughout this. And also, obviously, I've got a lot of the presentation element, as well as a lot of the group activities, interviews, and some of the resources as well. So it was a very collaborative assignment, and we all kind of pulled our weight in different ways. So as far as the website goes, that's kind of the basics. It is a running document, so we're going to be adding over time. Again, it is a resource for educating educators, so feel free to use this and show this to people if you want to compile stuff with us, and get kind of on the back side of things and add to it, or just reach out to us. That would be fantastic. We have loved collaborating with other educators in this, and it's so helpful to have that kind of support. Lastly here, I will talk about my personal account with all of this in the course of this project. In October, this past fall, the students at our school, some of them threw out the term, it's a small group, suicide pact. And so we immediately had a crisis meeting. We met right away and started talking about this, and it's a huge concern for us still. And what it involves, because I had never heard that kind of a term used. Anamika actually has dealt with a cutting pact, which would be self-harm still, but not as final. And so, we met about it, and apparently what it has to do with is these group of kids were involved with a student. They're good friends with this student that took his life last year, and they have come up with this as kind of a commemoration. It's still kind of hard to understand, even with all of the information that I do have, but this has been on our minds, all of us as staff, for a long time now. And in February, this past February, just a couple weeks ago, February 11th, we had a student that I was close to take his life. And this was one of those students that you would have never expected this from. And so it was difficult. It's very difficult, and it still is. And so what I want to explain is kind of what happened around this. Obviously, this is much earlier than we expected, because the student from last year had committed suicide in April, and so we were expecting it more towards that time. But February through the end of March is a really dark spot, and this is when these kinds of things happen. That's what we've been finding out. And so anyway, it was a tough couple days for everyone. The only advice that I could give, there isn't much advice, you just have to react, is that you just have to be there and be supportive. That day after, I played Monopoly with the kids, played blackjack, brought them to the gym and played basketball, in periods where they wouldn't have done that. Sat down in the library and just talked with them. And that's what you have to do. You just got to be there. And it's important to be there, I will say. And so after this, that Friday of that week, we held a crisis meeting again for the faculty. And this was kind of a worst case scenario thing. We planned for a school shooting. So we went through and just kind of role played with it in different groups, and it was a school shooting in the assembly. That was the content. And what happened was the community got wind of this, and a rumor surfaced out of it, which the allegations were pretty unsubstantiated, but any rumor like this is going to be scary, that the next week there would be a school shooting in the assembly. that we weren't having. There wasn't an assembly, and it said school shooting assembly Thursday. And so Thursday we had about half the kids missing. That next week, even Wednesday, and parents were reacting in all kinds of ways, pulling their kids out of school, but also threatening to homeschool. And I think we've had 15 students that have left the school since. And so this is a big problem. This is a very big issue for us. I've gotten to see the administrative response in all of this and what they're doing, and I have mixed feelings about all of that. And it's not something I'm going to discuss here. If you want to talk to me about that, I'm open about it. But for the purposes of this presentation, I just want to show what I've been going through in all of this, and being directly involved in this kind of topic. It's very difficult. And so I hope that all of you will take this very seriously, and that the best way to deal with this, the best way to think about this kind of thing is in a preventative sense, and being proactive about it. Being proactive about positive school culture is what I mean. And going out and creating a place where kids want to be, students want to come here, and they're connected to their community and they feel that. And connection between the grades is very important, just like this little brother, big sister kind of thing. So start implementing these things, start thinking about it, because this is what we've found to be most effective. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed this presentation. I have learned so much with these other two group mates. We've had a great time, even though the content area is not exactly happy all the time. But we really feel that this has been a huge period of growth for all of us. And do feel free to reach out to us. I'm excited to see the other presentations. You guys have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for watching.